I was a narcissist, but now I'm cured. Almost sounds like it should be a line from Amazing Grace, isn't it? If you're hoping that all of a sudden your mighty narrator has suddenly somehow seen the light and is no longer a narcissist and is cured, then you're going to be disappointed. But of course, as erudite students of my work, you will have realised that the ultra doesn't need to change. But what about the narcissists that rank beneath me, that claim that they were once narcissists, but now they are cured? Can this happen? Can it be that somebody was a narcissist and that they have been cured? Well, first of all, this presupposes two factors, doesn't it? The first is the recognition that the individual was a narcissist, and that they can then be capable of being cured. It's important for people to understand that the vast majority of narcissists, 99.9%, don't know that they are narcissists. And therefore, for someone to say, I used to be one, is not going to happen because they wouldn't have known that they were. The lesser narcissist does not know that he is a lesser narcissist. The mid-range narcissist, she doesn't know that she's the false angel or the crybaby middle-range type B. She regards herself as an essentially kind person who's misunderstood, who's given a hard time unnecessarily by rotten narcissists who are actually victims of her behaviour. But through her narcissistic perspective, she sees it as those individuals being narcissists. Therefore, the vast majority of narcissists don't know what they are, so they can't then say, I now know what I am. Now, you might suggest, well, when they're cured, that gives them the ability to look back at what they once were, and to then realise, I didn't know it at the time, but now I realise I was a narcissist and now I'm cured. Well, if that were the case, that then leads us to the other aspect of the ability to be cured. And I've explained comprehensively the position about that in the video, Can the Narcissist Be Cured? And I recommend that you listen to that. So, given that the outcome of someone saying, I used to be a narcissist, now I'm cured, isn't going to happen, what is actually going on? Remember also, of course, that the greater narcissist knows that they are a narcissist, but sees no reason to alter and change, and certainly wouldn't enable themselves to be submitted to anything which might even try to change that process. Moreover, they are not going to go around admitting that they once were a narcissist, nor are they going to go around admitting that they're now something else. That would be beneath the behaviour of the greater narcissist. It would not occur. But there are those individuals that go around proclaiming that they were a narcissist and they're no longer. This is, of course, separate and distinct from those individuals who claim that they have an ability to cure narcissism. That's something else. Those individuals are either mistaken, or more usually, are narcissists themselves and unaware ones, claiming that they have been able to cure somebody's narcissism as part of their own innate grandiosity, magical thinking, and their need to assert control. But who are these individuals that go around claiming to be former narcissists that are now cured? Well, they fall into two camps. The first is, they weren't actually narcissists at all, but the individual has mistakenly believed that they were. That might be as a consequence of being told by somebody that they were a narcissist when they actually were not. And it may well be that that individual was a normal or was narcissistic. And for reasons of external pressures, their emotional empathy was altered and so that they behaved in a particular way, which caused them to appear as if they were a narcissist, but they actually were not. And therefore, although they were behaving in a way similar to a narcissist, and of course this can happen, and if you wish to understand more about this, please go to the Knowledge Vault and obtain Why Am I Behaving Like the Narcissist? But certain individuals can give the appearance of behaving like a narcissist even when they're not actually one. And that means, therefore, of course, that because they are not narcissists, then they can in effect appear to be cured, because when that external stressor is removed, for instance, whether it's financial pressure, abuse, problems with drugs or alcohol, their behaviour corrects, and they become, for want of a better description, a decent and pleasant person once more. They were never a narcissist to begin with, and they've either been mislabelled as such, or they have thought that they were one, and now, because there has been a correction of their behaviour, as a return of their emotional empathy, which has occurred as a consequence of the removal of the external stressor, they believe that they are somehow a redeemed narcissist. And it is an honest mistake. But with those individuals, they were never a narcissist to begin with, and all that has happened is that their behaviour is improved as a consequence of changing circumstances. These are often individuals as well who can be helped by the provision of certain services, guidance, support, counselling, etc. And those are the individuals where antisocial behaviour, difficult behaviour in relationships can actually be altered because they are not narcissists. Their behaviour isn't hardwired into their personality. It isn't a defence mechanism. Their behaviour towards other people, which is antisocial, unpleasant, difficult, downright awkward, is as a consequence of other factors, which, as a combination of having them removed and being told of a different way of perhaps handling those external pressures, means that they can correct their behaviour, and it's permanent. Of course, the old behaviours could creep back in if the external stressor reappears, but if it doesn't, that person's behaviour is corrected and it remains the case. But the point is, they were never a narcissist to begin with. This then leaves us with the final group of individuals who claim that they were once narcissists and that they are now cured. And these, of course, are narcissists. These are the individuals who think, as a consequence of being blinded by their own narcissism, their grandiosity, their need to assert control and their need to gain fuel, that by declaring to everybody, "Oh, I once was one, but I'm not one any longer," that this is something that should be pronounced. What they don't realise is they remain very much a narcissist. This is most likely to occur with mid-range narcissists. The individual may well have behaved in a poor manner and then believes that they have somehow examined themselves, found themselves some kind of spiritual awakening. And what they don't realise is that, of course, they are a narcissist, and therefore either they are continuing to behave in a manipulative fashion but they just can't see it because they're a narcissist blind to their own behaviours, or they are actually going through a period of, in inverted commas, behaving themselves, but it's short-lived, but they've not yet got to the next part. So there might be an individual who recognises that their behaviour towards other people was problematic, and they actually have stopped doing that behaviour, but it's only just occurred, and therefore it cannot be stated with any certainty or accuracy that they are cured, because we don't know what's going to happen next. Although rather we do, because they're a narcissist and they will just revert to their behaviours in the near future, because that's what happens. It can't be maintained forever. But of course, this grand narcissist that is exhibiting traits of grandiosity, the magical thinking, believes that they've corrected their behaviour. And let us say they're only 2 or 3 weeks or even 2 or 3 months into this corrected behaviour, and they want to tell everybody about how they've become redeemed. That short time period does not show fundamental and permanent change at all, but they will think that it does. And of course, if you were to challenge them about it and point out, well, look, this might be short-lived, Of course, their narcissism will cause them to deny, deflect, etc., to nullify the threat to control that you pose by your questioning of them. Their desire to broadcast this to everyone, to tell everybody about how effective they've been, they believe that they're doing it in order to be kind to people, in order to give people hope that narcissists can actually be cured and helped. Of course, this is misleading, and they have a genuine belief in this because their narcissism causes them to believe it. But what they are actually doing is they're asserting control over people by telling them this. They are manipulating them by giving them false hope, by duping them, by conning them. They're drawing fuel and character traits and residual benefits from these individuals. It's facade management. They can't see it. The acknowledgement that they were once a narcissist doesn't mean that they've got insight into what they are, because they don't actually think that they are one. Indeed, in certain instances, the individual may not even have behaved in a bad manner which they recognise. They just believe that they have, because their narcissism in the now rewrites history. So there'll be some narcissists who can recognise, because their narcissism allows them, that perhaps they were chaotic and disruptive, and they have stopped doing that. And of course, it's a temporary cessation on that behaviour. And therefore they announce to all, "I'm cured, look at me, I used to be a narcissist and now I'm cured." In other instances, the narcissism actually generates a false history and convinces the narcissist that they used to be a real bad boy and now they're not. In actual fact, they never were a bad boy. They manipulated in ways they didn't see, perhaps particularly passive-aggressive middle mid-rangers. And then they believe, "Oh, I used to do these bad things." They never did. There's no actual external evidence that they behaved in this manner of going around beating people up, smashing windows, etc. All of that is part of the narcissism's revision of history to use a fabricated past to control the now, to make it seem as if this individual was terrible in the past and now that they are good, without that individual realising that A, that's a lie, B, it's the revision of history, and C, they were bad in the past but in different ways that they can't see. So, on the various forums that you may come across, where you get somebody who comes along declaring, "I was a narcissist but now I'm cured," understand, you might be dealing with an individual who was misdiagnosed, mislabeled as a narcissist and actually wasn't, and therefore they've been able to correct their behaviours for the reasons that I've explained earlier. Or more usually, you'll be dealing with a mid-range narcissist who comes with the grandiose, delusionary beliefs that somehow they've worked on themselves, that they've improved themselves, that they've caused themselves to cast aside the horrific behaviours of being a narcissist, and that now they are a good, helpful, constructed individual. Nay, they've become the empath even. Understand, no narcissist can be cured, and that any narcissist who claims that they have been cured, it was either never one to begin with and it's a mistake, or more usually, they still are a narcissist, but don't realise it. It is incumbent on you to understand and recognise this, and that you avoid A, the individual that's making such pronouncements, because they will only continue to try and manipulate you. And secondly, that you ensure that such misinformation is corrected to the benefit of other people. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.